Let's talk about documents and files in Harmony. Harmony provides enterprise-grade document management, while automating the process of connecting documents with the parties involved. In this video, we'll use the term documents for brevity, but understand document management includes any type of digital file, like an image, spreadsheet, presentation, video, audio file, etc. Documents can be created in Harmony or uploaded from elsewhere. Examples of created documents include letters, agreements, notices, statements, and reports. Uploaded documents include items that you drag and drop into Harmony, items that you attach to something like an invoice, activity, or message, or attachments to an email you receive. Harmony's APIs also allow streamlined document import from other sources, including pre-built APIs embedded into desktop software, allowing you to synchronize documents from an external source with your cloud document library. Agreement documents, including forms and notices, can be e-signed in Harmony, and all documents and files can be shared, with Harmony's powerful sharing mechanisms. Everyone you do business with can access their relevant documents at any time via their portal, and Harmony gives you full control over that. Before we get too far into documents, it's worth exploring other resources to learn about creating documents from templates and viewing documents in portals. There are numerous videos and articles covering these topics in extensive detail. Let's take a look at how this all works. First, it's worthwhile understanding the relational nature of Harmony's document management. In general terms, each document has three components: the file data, the metadata, and the relational data. File data is what you have even when you don't have a document management system. It's the code, words, and dots that make a document display on your device or printer. When you shoot a video of your puppy unwinding a ball of yarn and send that video to your cousin, you're sending the file data. A document management system gives you the other two parts, in a way that you can do something productive with. Metadata is data about the document. This data can include things like who created the document, what version it is, who owns the document, how the document is categorized, and the like. Harmony is standards-driven, using the Dublin Core standard for all documents, and the EXIF standard for images. This standardization means that you can integrate your solution with any standards-based resource for organizing and archiving documents. Harmony natively includes two levels of metadata for each document. First is the data in your control, or the core metadata. Second is the user metadata. This allows a single person to have their own document management system in their portal that doesn't interfere with your documents. For example, if an owner wants to delete, archive, tag, or otherwise manage a specific statement to their liking, they can do so. This affects the document only as they interact with it, and does not affect your document or its settings. Relationships are where Harmony's document management really shines, because it exactly matches the structure of a property management business. As you may have learned in other help resources, Harmony is built on a three-dimensional property management structure, like your real-life business, instead of the two-dimensional limited framework of all other property management software. In Harmony, every document is related to at least one person or place, which can be an owner, association, tenant, guest, association member, vendor, source, the management company, a unit, or a property. It can also be related to one specific agreement a person is on, including a management agreement, community agreement, lease agreement, reservation agreement, membership agreement, services agreement, or commission agreement. It can further be related to a specific item in Harmony, like an invoice, a charge, a receipt, a work request, a work order, an activity, a message, etc. Because Harmony is three-dimensional, document sharing works at the level of people on agreements. For example, a specific owner's documents can be shared with all of their active tenants. In such a case, when a new roommate is added to a lease, they automatically have the document. When another tenant's lease ends, they automatically lose the document, even though they retain access to all of their own documents. The most beautiful thing about it is that there's not really much for you to figure out or manage. Configure your settings, manage your exceptions, and the rest just works. No mess, no fuss. The complexity is all under the hood. In your world, it's all elegant and simple. In fact, fewer than 5% of Harmony users have ever asked for help with anything related to documents. This video is for those who really want to understand and take full advantage of the power of document management. Let's dive into Harmony and look at some real-world scenarios, and a few made up for the purposes of demonstration. Starting with the very simplest concept, let's upload a standalone document to an owner. There are different ways to do this. We'll look at just one here. Select the owner, then select their Documents view from the menu. Select the Add icon to add a document, then select Upload Document. When you see this dashed box, you can click or tap it to open your device's file system, or you can drag and drop a file onto it. At the bottom, you'll notice a red portal icon. Hover over it. It says, "This will not be available in their portal." In your case, you have decided not to add new documents to the person's portal by default, but you can still add them individually. If you want to change this setting, that's easy. We'll do this in a minute. Drag and drop a file or a group of files onto the dashed box. In this case, you'll add a single file, a photo of a new friend you met last night and want the owner to see. The file, or files, are uploaded to the cloud, into your Harmony account, and related to this owner. You can change the name, or keep the name as it was on your device before you uploaded it. When you're done adding all documents, select Done. You now see this owner's document list, with the uploaded document. Select the document to view it. Let's take a look at its metadata. From the Options drop-down, select Show Metadata. There's a lot of stuff here you may not need, but is available to you in case you do. Select the Edit icon to switch to editing mode. This will also show you tooltips, which provide an explanation of each input. In Permissions, you recall you did not have the setting on to automatically put this in the owner's portal. You can enable this here. If you had the setting on, but wanted to remove this document from the owner's portal, you would uncheck it here. Giving tenant portal permissions to an owner's document means it will be available for all tenants of this owner. Check the box to see an explanation with details. This type of sharing is active and dynamic, based on the third dimension, the management agreement and leases. As long as a tenant is on a lease for this owner, the tenant has this document. When the tenant is off the lease, either because they were removed or the lease finished, they no longer have the document. Guest portal permissions is similar. It's an option here because this demo account has short-term rentals enabled, where the occupants are guests. The official record designation allows you to mark if this particular document is considered an official record. In many jurisdictions, and for some types of management, official records must be handled according to different policies. Once you designate a document as an official record, only an administrator can delete it. Let's look at the tooltip for Document GUID. This tells you it's a globally unique ID for this document. If you have some sort of API or merge that asks you for the document GUID, this is the ID you're looking for. If you're integrating with a system that uses Dublin Core, the items with the icon indicate they connect to a Dublin Core metadata element set. If this is confusing, it means you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to know, understand, or use Dublin Core in order to make the most of your Harmony document system. If you do use it, you'll be elated at the simplicity of integrating. Select Other tooltips for an explanation of each input. In this case, since the uploaded document is an image, it contains EXIF data. This may appear confusing at first, but it's a powerful tool in your arsenal. For example, imagine a tenant moved in last month and sent in a work request today, saying they took a photo of the damaged fridge door when they moved in, but forgot to send it to you with their move-in checklist. You can open the image in Harmony, look at the EXIF data, and find out if this picture was indeed taken at move-in, or if it's a more recent dad just photographed last night, which happens to coincide with the neighbor's complaint of a loud party in the unit. When you are done editing, select Save Document. In the owner's document list, you see 3 new indicator icons. Hover over them for details. The first icon shows this document is now in the owner's portal. The owner must have a portal, and have documents enabled, to view it. Learn more about this in resources covering portals. The second icon indicates sharing, in this case, that the document is shared with occupants in the portal. The third icon indicates this is an official record. Select the document again to see what happens when you try to delete it. Select the Options drop-down, then Delete Document. Because you're an administrator, you can delete this official record, but you are warned. If you actually wanted to delete the document, you'd select the Delete Document button. In this case, don't. We want to see this document in some other places first. From Management, select Documents to view your documents list. This contains all documents for everyone. It's called your global list. You see the document you just uploaded at the top. Hover over it to preview the document. Let's take a look at some other elements of your documents list. First is the Add button. Previously you added a document for an individual owner, from their view. Here you can add a document for anyone, or for a group of people. Let's take a look at group documents. Select Upload Document. Here you're prompted to find someone to associate this document with. Searching for things in Harmony is powerful, and there are a number of options. Be sure to read up on resources to learn the details of how granular you can make a search. In most cases, you simply enter what you're looking for. We'll look at a few different scenarios. If you're looking for the owner who has that house on Anywhere Drive, just type this into the search. The list of everyone on Anywhere Drive displays. Since you're only interested in the owners, for this example, exclude everyone else by unchecking non-owner types. You now see only this owner. Select their units icon to see details of units. Here you see 6 units that match the search term, Anywhere Drive, that are owned by this owner. Let's look at searching by tags. In Harmony, you can add an unlimited number of tags, then tag people. Select the tag button, and you see that we have 2 silly tags for this demo, bald and mustachioed owners. Select a tag to include all people who have that tag. You see all matches in the list. Let's look at a third way to find people. Select the Common Power Searches button to view predefined power searches. Power searches are a comprehensive way to find people by any piece of information associated with them. For example, if you want to find all owners who live on Jones Street, Drive, or Way, but not include any owners who have the last name Jones, a power search lets you do this. Here, you see Common Power Searches. You can do your own power search, but for this demo, just select a common one, like current owners. Once you have the list you've searched for, select each person to add this document for, or choose the checkbox at the top to select all. Verify your choices, and select the Add Document button. You now see the same thing as previously, when you added a document for one owner. In this case, the header displays that you're adding to a group, rather than an individual. You'd upload a document to add the document to the group. Note that group documents are not the same as shared documents. When you share a document, there's one document, and multiple parties have access to view, print, or download it. When you add a document to a group, you're creating one copy of the document for each member of the group. Each document can then be individually edited and controlled. Returning to your global documents list, let's look at some other pieces. Filter Results lets you easily find a document by searching some piece of information about it. The deep search setting here is set to automatic, but it's worth learning a bit about deep search if you have massive quantities of documents to search. For each document, you see who it is assigned to. Just like elsewhere in Harmony, select the icon to preview their profile. The next icon shows you the type of file this document corresponds to. Each document has a display name and an optionally different internal name. The display name is what you, and others, see when you're looking at the document in a list. If you want to correlate a document back to its source file by name, or want to include reference details in the name, set the internal document name by editing the metadata. If you're not integrating your Harmony document management system with an external system, this is likely irrelevant. Here you see any indicator icons that give you additional information about the document. Hover over each for details. Now that we've cruised over the essentials of documents, let's look at some details. There are a few settings to look at with respect to documents. In Portals, select Preferences. To default all newly added documents to have portal permissions, turn on the option for, by default, provide added and created documents with portal access. Note that if you're adding documents from the API will set portal permissions on a per document basis. Learn more about documents in portals, including system and individual portal authorizations, in other resources covering portals. In Messages and Letters, select Preferences. If you want created letters to be saved in PDF format by default, change this setting. E-signable documents will still be in web format, which is required for online signing. There are also a ton of configurable options and customizations related to templates. This is covered in depth in other resources, and is required learning for working with documents you create in Harmony like letters, agreements, and notices. Select Done to wrap up with settings, and we'll create some documents. You'll frequently create agreement forms and agreement notices. While this is covered in detail in other resources, we'll create one here to see how the document is related to everything. After creating an agreement, you're prompted to create its agreement form. This is based on your form template, which is detailed elsewhere. Since we have an e-signable standard residential lease template in this demo account, select it to create a lease for this tenant based on the template. You can have as many different lease form templates as you need, although most companies have just one. All of the template merge fields are automatically merged with data from this tenant and lease. When you save the lease form, it's sent to the tenants using your message template. You'll see, on your lease summary, that there's a lease agreement awaiting e-signature. If you were to view the lease form at this point, you'd see the unsigned lease. When the tenant logs into their portal, they're alerted that there's a document awaiting their e-signature. When they click the link in the email or text message, or the document in their portal, it opens the lease and they'll be prompted to either e-sign the lease or convert it to a traditional wet ink signable lease. When they're done, you receive an email notification and an alert on your dashboard that it's been either e-signed or converted to a traditional wet ink signable lease. Because they e-signed, when you view the lease now, you see the lease form with the locked-in e-signature. On the lease summary, you see an indicator icon showing you have a signed form. E-signing is covered in more detail in other resources, but now that you understand the concept, let's look at the actual signed document. You can view it from the lease, from your global documents list, or from the tenant's documents. There's a new icon on the document that you didn't see before, called the source indicator. In this case, it's a lease icon. When hovering, it shows you this document is from a lease, and you can click or tap it to preview the lease. In the Options drop-down, you also have a new entry, View Source Lease. Selecting this will also preview the lease. When the tenant views documents and files in their portal, they see this document. Because the document is assigned to them, they can add tags, organize into folders, or delete the document, without having any impact on the original document that you control. In this case, the tenant wanted to add a tag called 2024 Lease, and create and put it in their folder called Lease. When they're searching their documents, they can find documents by keyword, tags, and/or in their specific folders. Back at the document in Harmony, under Tenant Portal, you can see that this tenant has put this document into their lease folder, but that doesn't change how you organize the document for yourself. Lease notices, including things like violations, notice of renewal, notice to vacate, and others work in much the same way as lease forms, as far as the document itself is concerned. More on creating those is covered in other resources. Any document created or uploaded for this tenant has similar options, where it can be included in their portal and organized as they see fit. For another example, let's go back to the tenant portal and submit a work request. Maintenance is covered in detail in other resources, so we'll zip through this just to highlight the document functionality. When submitting the work request, in Photos, Videos, and Documents, the tenant can attach a photo of the leaky faucet they're reporting. If they're using a phone or tablet, they can typically take the photo or video directly from their device. Once this work request is submitted, you're alerted. Review the work request and you'll see the photo the tenant attached. When you create a work order from this request, the photo then flows through to the vendor, and they can see it in their portal. Of course, you could remove it from the work order if it's not appropriate for the vendor to see. When the vendor views the work order in their portal, they'll see the photo. They can also add images, videos, or files to the work order. In this case, we'll say your services agreement with the vendor requires them to upload a photo of all repairs, so the plumber uploads a picture of the repaired sink. In the completed work order, you now see the original photo from the tenant, and the photo of the repaired sink from the vendor. The vendor's picture has an icon showing it was added by the vendor. When looking at the document from the vendor, you see its source is a work order, and the drop-down gives you the option to view the source work order. When viewing the metadata or the document summary, you see this was provided by the vendor. Other documents added to an item, like a charge or bill, receipt, payment, activity, message, quote request, checklist, vote, application, or anything else in Harmony, function much the same way. All of these have Harmony's three-dimensional relationality. They belong to you, as the management company, are assigned to a person, and are connected to all the things they relate to. You can go backwards and forwards to find and see all documents by all their intrinsic and extrinsic relationships. Another way to get documents into your Harmony document management system is by receiving emails with attachments. Details on setting up Harmony CRM for incoming email are covered in other resources. A vendor just emailed you an invoice for the work they performed, with the invoice attached. This arrived in your messages. It's also already in your documents list, assigned to the vendor who sent it. When you record the invoice for the owner or association who is responsible to pay it, you see an icon indicating this vendor has recently sent you an email attachment that you might want to attach to this recorded invoice. Select this, and if there's a match to attach to the invoice, select it. When you record the invoice, this document is now attached to the invoice. When the owner views the invoice in their portal, they can directly view the attachment originally sent from the vendor. Of course, all of these options are fully in your control. You get to decide what everyone can or cannot view. Full details on work orders, invoices, and portals are available in other resources. Another document source is Save Statements and Reports. When you run owner distributions, their statement is run and saved as a document, according to the preferences set in their profile. You can also run a statement at any time for any period, and save it as a document. Note that you can also permit an owner to run their own statement in the same way, in their portal. In fact, when you run any report, you have the option to save it, and it will be stored as a document. Let's look at one last document type before we wrap up. From time to time, you may find it necessary to write a letter. Typically, these days, this is done by email. In the case of anything official, it's usually a notice. We've covered both of those, so let's look at just writing a plain old letter. From the Global Documents list, or from an individual person's documents, select Create Document. In this case, you don't yet know who you want to write it for, so you'll do it from your global list. You have a compelling new offer for owners who sport a mustache and want to write them a letter about it. Use the tags to locate your owners who have mustaches. You only want to send this letter to Oswald, so select him, then choose Create Document. You could write a free-form letter, but you've already created a custom letter template for this specific offer. From your letter templates, choose the template to use. The owner's data is merged into the letter, and the letter is available to edit. The document is already associated with the owner you chose, but if you would also like to connect it to his management agreement, check the Connect to an Agreement checkbox. Save your merged and edited letter. The owner now has a new letter. If you'd elected to notify him, either manually or based on your settings, he would receive an email and/or text message with the letter. If you'd elected to include this in his portal, the letter would be available to view there, where he can organize it as he'd like, or put it in the trash, if he recently shaved. These are just a small handful of examples that show a little bit of Harmony's power in document management. It's worth studying other resources to see how these apply to things like your accounting, task management, maintenance, and more. For now, it's time to relax. Grab your board, and head out into the ocean to hang 10 and commune with nature.